Alright, so I recently did a post on Cubics' Friends talking about 2023 cubing goals, and one common trend I saw amongst a lot of people was wanting to be a better all-rounder in 2023. Like, oh, I want to be top 50 some of ranks, or top 30, or first in my country, or something like that. So, well, I'm not the most qualified to talk about this. I think there's definitely a lot of piece of advice I can give. I'm currently 10th in the world for Kinch, and then like 20th for summer ranks, something like that. Uh, and I think there's some advice I can give to people who want to pursue all rounding a little bit more and hopefully not waste as much time as I have in the past. So I just have a notepad open right here with just a bunch of random bullet points. I'll try to keep this brief. So I guess I'll start. Say you're like complete beginner towards this. How would I redo all rounding if that's what I wanted to do? So, one thing is I don't think most all rounders start with the goal of all rounding, and this is kind of leading to my first piece of advice. Is that if you want to be good at all rounding, I'd really recommend getting really good at one event first. So, really good, I mean like probably like top 20 in the world, something like that, at least like top 30. Something as good as you can. And this is from, if you look at all the top all rounders currently, I'd say like the Mount Rushmore is probably like Martin Egdal, Tommy Cherry, Stanley Chapel, Stanley Chap, nope, First Fushada, and Max Shao. If you look at all of them, they've all had world records except for Firstshin, except he was .06 off of Score 1 WR at one point. But Martin obviously had 2x2 world record, Tommy's had 3 blind world records, Stanley with big blind, and Max with Score 1. And I think getting really good at one event teaches you a lot. So there's a couple benefits to doing this. So one thing is that let me think about how I want to phrase this. So, by getting really good at one event, that kind of teaches you the process to getting good at other events. And you kind of, I don't know, you don't want to miss out on like competing at a top level in an event just for the sake of all rounding. Yeah, I think that's really the main thing is getting really good at one event, learning how to get good, how to compete at a top level, because one thing is once you're really good at one event is that kind of just overall cubing skill transfer to a lot of other events. Personally for me, I guess the first event I was good at was Score 1. I think I peaked at like 30th a couple of years ago. That was the first event I was top 100 in. And then nowadays people more so know me for 3 blinds, and I think getting really good at these two events was definitely pretty important because that gave me kind of the understanding that if I want to be good at an event, I need to put in the work with learning algorithms and consistently practicing all the time. So, what event would I recommend you get really good at first? So, say you're not you're not top 100 in anything right now. What event would I pick for you to get good at? I don't have a definitive answer. Obviously, there is no definitive answer, but obviously choose what you enjoy. And if you want to take any piece of advice from me, I wrote I'd recommend either a side event or 3x3. If you can get really good at 3x3, like I know I suggested getting to like top 30, but that is very, very difficult for 3x3. But if you can, then I would definitely have the most rewards, because if you think that skill is going to transfer to literally every event, especially big cubes, and if you're good at 3x3, that's lots of skill you can have for 4 through 7 or Mega Minx or one-handed, which that's like half the events in the WCA right there. And the other thing I wrote was a side event. So why would I recommend a side event? It's just because if we evaluate like the side events, here let me grab stuff like this. So one thing with a lot of these events is that there's typically like an alg set, or like there's a very predetermined path to getting good. If you start with something like big cubes like 6x6, like how you get good at 6x6 is by doing a million solves. Obviously, you have to do a million solves to get good at any event, but with something like Scube or 2x2, you know that there's algs you have to learn. So if you want to be world class at Scube, you have to know an S, and you have to be able to one look. So, like, the path to getting good at Scube would be learning all your NSs, one looking every solve, one looking alternate solutions, potentially learning alternate algorithms for executing at different angles, and working on layer efficiency. So stuff like that. It's kind of harder for something like 6x6 to just list out kind of steps to getting good at it. So that's kind of why I'd recommend maybe a side event as opposed to something like a big cube, or I don't know. But obviously, pick your poison. I think if you want to get into all rounding, definitely start by getting really good at a single event first. Okay, so let's say you're good at one event now. How do we branch out into getting good at other events? So what is the mindset you want to have for improving? I think the most important thing I've learned is to treat every event like you want to have WR. And what that means is, like, if you want to get good at an event, you should know all the algorithms necessary. And so let's jump back to the Scube example for example. If you want to get good at Scube, I don't think there's any point in practicing or doing thousands of solves in Scube without knowing full NS, just because every top solver is using NS in their solves. So the goal of being an all-rounder is to be as good at every event as possible, pretty much. Obviously, the ideal all-rounder would be insanely good at every event. And how you do that is just by mimicking the top solvers as best you can. And I think that's another kind of good mindset to have, is just emulating the people that are faster than you as much as you can. So by treating every event like you want WR, just try to waste as little time as possible. Don't procrastinate on learning your algs. If it's like a shorter event, don't procrastinate on practicing your one looking. It's a big cube or something, don't procrastinate on improving your look ahead or efficiency. Just always make sure you're staying on top of your practicing and making sure you're taking full advantage of your time. And I think whenever you want to get into an event, like say, let's use a different example. Say I want to get into pyramid minks. It's important that you learn all the algorithms. So pyramid minks, I'm not super well informed. I think the main thing is ML4E. And, I mean L4E, there's kind of algs, but let's see if I can show off my ML4E skills. Yeah. Yeah, I would recommend learning all the algorithms you need to know before grinding your solves, because once you can grind your solves, that'll reinforce all the algorithms you already know, and then now there's less stuff limiting you from taking that kind of higher step for each event. While you're learning these algorithms, you're still allowed to do solves, obviously, and that's important for getting the reinforcement while you're learning the algorithms. But I would say don't do like 1,000 solves in an event until you know everything you need to know to compete at a top level. Just ideally you waste as little time as possible. So kind of staying on the topic of learning, the next bullet point I have is having a community of people to learn from and befriending fast people. It is so important, and I'm really thankful and blessed to be friends and be able to communicate with people that are a lot better than myself. It's like, if you're a musician, you've heard the saying that you always want to be the worst musician in the room. Well, the same thing applies to cubing. If you are constantly connecting yourself with people that are better than you, not only is that going to inspire you to kind of take your own solving to the next level, but it's also important to ask any stupid questions, and you're going to ask stupid questions across your solving career, but it's important to have friends that you can talk about cubing with and uh, try to learn more from. I've learned so much from my friends, and I owe so much of cubing to them. Like, for example, even recently, just learning about hyperparity stuff for FMC. uh, like, I used up a lot of time from Mark Boyanowski and Simon Kellum at my last comp, just having them explain it to me. And definitely do not be afraid to reach out to fast people and ask them any questions you have about an event, because, I mean, you should realize if someone's world class at an event, it's because they like it. And I'm sure any keeper would love the opportunity to talk about their favorite event more and pass on knowledge of their own. But yeah, another note I made, Ram the car, good friend of mine, made a video recently talking about cubing discords that you could join to kind of learn more about events, like event specific discords. That I'm in a bunch of them, like Square Oneers or Mega Mixers. Definitely join those, I'd say, if you use Discord at all. That's a very good resource for learning from other people and learning all sorts of algorithms and stuff. I know recently I've been working on Square One PBL a bit just in my free time, and what I'd literally do is just open Square Oneers, and then if there's a PBL I'm like struggling figuring out a solution for, I would just open up the search in like the top right of Discord and then just search like CM or something like that, and then I'd see all these different algs or 2alg solutions that people posted. And like, there's a lot of information on there, out there for cubing that isn't compiled into a singular resource. So that's why it's important to be able to contact other people and talk about events with them. What next? I guess back on the topic of practicing, ideally you want to practice a singular event as much as possible, but I know that that's pretty boring. And me and most other cubers, and like in general, regardless of all rending, will still, even if we're working on a singular event, still practicing like one or two other events casually. Just, the goal is to still enjoy cubing. Like, don't take cubing too seriously. But anyways, ideally practice a single event as much as you can. Isolate your weaknesses. Watch example solves. Look at reconstructions. Practice a lot. Learn all your algorithms. Yeah, I mean, it's important to note that you yourself are always going to be most aware of what you need to do to get better at an event. You're the one that does your solves. You know what you're weak at. Obviously, there's things you might not know, like random efficiency tricks. That's the point of reconstructions and example solves. Like, I know personally, I'm not good at 3x3, but one thing I do try to do is go on SpeedCubeDB, I believe that's the name of the website, and you can just type Timon Koloshinsky and get 1,000 3x3 reconstructions, and there's so much you can learn just from taking the time and going through reconstructions of just top solves. And I mean, not only is it fun and it's mind-blowing, but it'll make you a lot better of a solver too and teach you a lot. That's mostly what I have about it. I don't know if there's any other questions or comments, whatever. I hope this video is useful for you. You can comment them in comment sections or message me somewhere. I don't know. Any other things I can think of? I guess there's Facebook groups besides the Discord, so that's not really as useful though. Yep. Don't compare yourself to others. Cube for fun, and always be learning. And I'll see you guys in 2023.